This meeting is being recorded.
Alexa, notification.
One new notification from Amazon Shopping. Last month, Nicola and Jaya LED string lights on Amazon. How many stars would you rate it from 1 to 5?
3. 3 stars.
Thanks. Your rating will help other customers make better choices.
You're going to wreck a beaver dam. What'd the beavers ever do to you, man? Happy Friday, Benjamin. Alrighty. Let me start some programs here. Oh, by the way, let's see. We'll just pop this over here. Now, this one. Here's what yesterday's drawing ended up as. So I'm glad I looked up Kamala Harris's quote. It wasn't "I was that little girl," it was "that little girl was me." Anyway, hasn't made much of a splash, I have to say. Only 2 likes after 4 hours. Not one of my better performing posts. All right, I can also show you. I got a haircut. Look at all that hair on the floor. It all came off my head, except the gray ones. They were there on the floor when I got there. Lying. I'm lying, of course. It's all my hair. All right. All right. So, actually, I think I'll start off by reading something. Let's see. This came in from Paul. All right. And he recommended something by This Chad C. Mulligan is the same Chad Hill who has been on the C-Realm podcast many times, author of the Hip Crime Vocab blog. And Chad Hill writes, "Here's a bonus New Year's issue for you all, and I'll try to keep it short and to the point. While I've put writing about economics on the back burner for now, there are a few very simple principles that are so basic to understanding the subject that I think everyone would benefit from incorporating them into their cognitive toolkit. I think they will be useful as you read about the economy over the coming year. Despite the simplicity and importance of these principles, I rarely see them explicitly spelled out for some reason. So I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to keep this simple for now, but each principle can be an entire newsletter on its own. There's something that I call the duality principle. There's probably a better term for it, but I haven't come up with one yet. To my mind, it's the most important insight I've gained in trying to wrap my head around economics and finance matters. Economics courses usually start by describing binary transactions between buyers and sellers in imaginary, perfectly idealized markets. In markets, for every buyer, there is also a seller. That's true, but also, for every asset, there must be a corresponding liability. For every debtor, there must be a creditor. One person's spending is another person's income. These things are always true. One cannot exist without the other, just as a one-sided coin cannot exist. When one arises, so too does its complement. This is due to the nature of double-entry bookkeeping, which capitalism runs on. You could make the case that capitalism began with the adoption of double-entry bookkeeping in Europe during the Middle Ages, first in Venice, then in other Italian city-states, then in Western Europe more generally. As an aside, I find it interesting that accounting, like business and marketing, is taught in a completely different school than economics in universities, often in another part of the campus with no overlap between classes. That should give you an indication of how relevant studying economics is to understanding how our economy actually, as opposed to theoretically, works. That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. The reason why these facts are so important is that if you're only looking at one side of the equation, then you can't really understand how the economy works. If you take nothing away from this essay, or my writing about economics in general, let it be this. I think he means if you take only one thing from this essay, but he says if you take nothing from this essay, let it be this. If someone is only talking about one of these things without talking about the other, you should stop listening to them. Their analysis is bogus, and they are probably trying to mislead or bamboozle you or pull the wool over your eyes in some way. Let's take some examples of how the above principles might change your thinking about certain topics. Consider the national debt. If there is a debt, then it has to be someone to whom that debt is owed. So I think there has to be. Consider the national debt. If there is a debt, there has to be someone to whom that debt is owed, doesn't there? This is axiomatic. Yet for some reason, you never hear about that side of the equation, do you? Why is that? We constantly hear about how paying off the debt will be an intolerable burden that we are leaving to our grandchildren. Won't somebody please think of the children? Said in the best Maud Flanders voice. But aren't we also paying that money to our future grandchildren? If not, then who? Yet in almost all of the discussions surrounding the national debt, you never hear who the debt is owed to. Can you tell me that information, dear reader? If you cannot, then something very foundational is missing in your understanding of the subject. I like the way Mark Blyth explains this. And I have to say, I enjoy Mark Blyth quite a bit. I haven't heard from him recently. He goes seemingly through phases where he's doing a lot of interviews and then not many. Probably has to do with his academic and writing requirements, I would guess. But anyway, Chad continues. I like the way Mark Blyth explains this. He goes to speak in front of prestigious organizations like the U.S. Naval Academy. During his speech, he asks the members of the audience, and I can't really do a Scottish accent, but just imagine Shrek reading these words. If you had the power to cut the national debt in half, would you? The members of the audience almost unanimously respond that yes, they would indeed do so. Wouldn't anyone? Less debt is good, right? Congratulations, Blyth informs them. You've just wiped out half the national savings. This shows the dangers of not understanding the subject, and these are our purported future leaders. So the idea that letting people lose their jobs or become homeless today because it would place a burden on some hypothetical future generation years from now is, to put it mildly, batshit crazy. It's deliberate, bald-faced lying. Letting the economy fall to pieces will not help future generations. They will be worse, not better off. By this same outrageous logic, we could have immediately surrendered to the Japanese after Pearl Harbor because the cost of war would balloon the national debt and leave an intolerable burden on future generations. In fact, the cost of that war did indeed balloon the national debt to unprecedented levels relative to GDP, which was itself invented for the purpose of calculating production during the war. When the war was over, the national debt was larger than the entire U.S. economy. It was much larger in absolute terms than it is today. Note that the national debt is always a ratio, not an absolute number, the size relative to the economy. Did future generations suffer? Who were they? Oh, that's right. They were the baby boomers, who were the most prosperous generation in the nation's history, before or since. Refusing to spend money to help suffering Americans right now to protect future generations is a cruel, bald-faced lie. People are guaranteed to die because of it. It is social murder on an industrial scale. People like Mitch McConnell will be responsible for the social murder of a large number of American citizens as surely as Joseph Stalin was responsible for killing his own people. I'm being deadly serious here. That's the insidiousness of market capitalism, because social murder is passively, as opposed to actively, such as herding people into labor camps carried out under market capitalism, who we are fooled into thinking that it doesn't exist. And yet people have needlessly been killed under capitalism just as surely as they have been killed under communism, even if we can quibble about the numbers. And let's not forget that communist countries were often underdeveloped autocracies in the midst of civil wars, unlike capitalist countries which have no such excuse. Murder is murder, period, and it's always wrong. Another trick is taking the national debt and dividing it by the total number of people in the country and scaring them by saying, here's your portion of the national debt. Paid to whom, by whom, when? Why doesn't anyone ever ask these simple questions? Another trick is comparing the national debt to GDP and saying that the debt is larger than the entire economy. We're doomed. Anyone trying this tactic is clearly an idiot, and everything they subsequently say should be called into question. I can prove this. Loans are paid back over time. Almost every homeowner has a mortgage debt that is larger than their annual income. Are all of them doomed? It's another classic boneheaded mistake, confusing stocks and flows. Plus, as the debt is paid back, the economy expands because new money is being added into the economy. So if someone is spewing this nonsense, why are you listening to them? Note also that almost every country in the world is simultaneously in debt. How can that be? To whom is all this money owed? Another planet? Mars? Alpha Centauri? Yet no one ever asks these questions. The asset and liability duality is important to understanding banking. You should understand by now that when a loan is taken out, it creates brand new money. This means that when lots of new loans are made, lots of brand new money is being added to the economic system. In fact, most new money is created via this method. I don't have time to go into detail to prove this. That's a topic for another post. Because banks create new money by making loans, banks are important economic players in their own right and not simply intermediaries between buyers and sellers. Remarkably, this is left out of most economics textbooks, which is why banking crises have consistently been missed by professional economists. When you take out a loan, you have a liability to the bank in the amount of the loan. You paying back that loan over time is considered to be an asset for the bank. The asset/liability relationship effectively creates new money. The opposite happens when you deposit your money with the bank. The bank has a liability to you in the amount of your deposit. You have a corresponding asset in the amount of the bank deposit, the money the bank owes to you. So, in the case of a deposit, the bank is effectively in debt to you rather than the other way around. This is how it actually works. You're not getting someone else's money when you take out a loan. People tend to think of deposits as a big old pile of cash sitting around in a vault. And when the bank makes a loan, it scoops up some of that cash and hands it over to the guy taking out a loan. Or else they think that their deposit at the bank is a wad of cash that the bank sticks in a safe somewhere just waiting for you to return and claim it later. Kind of like Scrooge McDuck's money vault. Nope. That's not how it works. It's all just transactions on balance sheets. As Nathan Tankus points out, it's the payment system itself that is the money. To manage the market economy, government fiddles with the interest rate, which is basically the price of money. When it wants more money in the banking system, it lowers the cost of borrowing by lowering the interest rate. When it wants less money in the banking system, it raises the cost of borrowing by raising the interest rate. It does this not by decree, but by buying and selling Treasury securities, but we don't need to get into the details of that. For simplicity, I'm omitting which interest rate, the rate for overnight loans between banks. Another potential way of injecting money into the economy is for the government to spend money directly. The potential $2,000 checks are an example of that, but there are many different ways this is done. The government has a lot of people on its payroll, including everyone in the military, or else it pays people in the private sector to do things for it, like design and build a new courthouse, or a new fighter jet, for example. The government spends by adjusting numbers upwards in accounts. It taxes by adjusting numbers downwards in accounts. It doesn't print up a bunch of bills made out of paper. It doesn't mint a bunch of new coins. It doesn't check if it has enough dollars sitting around in the vault somewhere or in various checking accounts. It's not like money changing hands at your local bodega for cigarettes. It's keystrokes. Note that no one, and I mean virtually no one, talks about inflation when tons of new money is added to the economy through the expansion of private debt, i.e. lots of new loans being made. Yet it seems that for some people, if government spends money, anything at all, hyperinflation is always and forever imminent. This is, to put it bluntly, sheer and utter bullshit. It's absolutely politicized. Why would money that the government spends be inflationary, but the exact same amount of new money added to the economy through private loans not be inflationary? It doesn't make any sense. In fact, research has conclusively shown that every single economic crisis in history has been caused by the rapid expansion of private debt, and not by an increase in government spending or the national debt. An increase in the national debt has never, repeat, never, caused a financial crisis by itself, certainly not in the United States. This is another reason why the moral panic around it is deceitful and immoral. It's also worth mentioning that there has never been even a single case of hyperinflation in the core economies since the end of the Second World War. I'm referring to the group of 7, G7 nations, which use dollars, euros, pounds, or yen. It simply never happened. Note that high inflation is not hyperinflation. Every single episode of hyperinflation since World War II has been in peripheral economies, particularly in Latin America and sub-Saharan Africa. And in these instances, it is always because A, large amounts of debt are denominated in a foreign currency, B, governmental breakdown, and C, a major loss of productive capacity, or some combination of these things. Hyperinflation, when it does occur, is a political choice, not an unexplained economic event. It's usually done to try to pay back foreign loans or expand an economy that cannot do so because of a loss of productive capacity or governmental incompetence. Yet, if you go online, you'll see that every anonymous poster is utterly convinced that the destruction of the dollar is imminent and that our money is sure to lose all its value any day now. Some people have quite literally been predicting this for the last 20 plus years without any apparent loss of credibility. Why do people believe this shit, and why the fuck does anyone still listen to them? I suggest you stop. It also shows the lies and disingenuousness surrounding the healthcare debate. The current status quo is that healthcare is currently around 17% of GDP, nearly 1/5 of the economy. That is, nearly 1 out of every $5 is spent on healthcare services in the United States today. In most other countries, with government-funded healthcare systems, that's closer to around 10%. That is, 1 out of every $10 gets spent on healthcare services instead of 1 out of every 5. Where do people think the money to pay for the private system is going to come from? Are hospitals allowed to print money? Last time I checked, they weren't. So the deficit is going to go up either way because the money has to come from somewhere. It doesn't make sense that a single-payer system run by the government would be inflationary at 1/10 of GDP, while our privately run healthcare system would not be inflationary while costing a whopping 1/5 of GDP. What this shows is that a single-payer healthcare system would actually save money and ultimately lower the national debt. People will cry to the heavens about the trillions of dollars the government would have to spend to provide health care to every single American, but it will ultimately end up issuing even more money into the economy to pay for our current privatized clusterfuck of a healthcare system that leaves millions of people uninsured even during a pandemic. It's just that under the current status quo, a lot of that money is going to end up in the pockets of wealthy private donors who disseminate scare stories about the deficit. Even the so-called leftist party in the United States promulgates this idea. Finally, the fact that one person's spending is another's income is important for understanding why the macroeconomy is different from the economics of a person's own household. Macroeconomy refers to the sum total of all businesses and households in the economy, rather than just a single one. In business school, you'll be taught how to manage and run a business, but obviously not all businesses at once. The management of a single household or business we can refer to as microeconomics. Economics, then, is comprised of both of these things. If I spend money, I've lost it. From my standpoint, it's gone. It's no longer a part of my household or business. Presumably, I've gotten something in return for my money. Hopefully, it was worthwhile. But in terms of the economy as a whole, when one person spends money, another person or household receives it, so there is no net loss. This alone should convince you that macroeconomics is a very different animal than managing your own personal finances. Yet despite this, they are consistently conflated by the average internet loudmouth. People think that government should run like a business, and that it's just like managing your own personal finances, complete with balancing the checkbook at the end of every month. Insane. Lately, when I hear people describing themselves as economic conservatives, what I really hear is, I am ignorant about how money actually works, or I understand economics and think that governments are like households. Or perhaps, my economic beliefs are based on moral intuition and folk beliefs rather than actual knowledge. Of course, this picture becomes a bit more complicated once you start bringing other countries into the mix, because this is a short letter, I'm not going to do that right now. But even if I did, you would see that the basic principles still hold, just with a few minor adjustments. The binary principle is important here too. For example, for every exporting country, there must be an importing country. That is, not every country in the world can simultaneously pursue an export strategy at the same time. This, in turn, means that some countries are always going to have trade deficits no matter what. Some countries are going to be net exporters, and some are going to be net importers. I'll leave it there for now. Hopefully 2021 will be a slight improvement over last year. Can't get any worse, can it? Well, don't say that. Where I am, it's very cold, dark, and gray, and we're getting socked with another 5 inches of snow on top of the 9+ we received just 2 days ago, so I'm totally depressed and utterly miserable. Hopefully you're doing better wherever you are. All right, that gets a heart. Oh! I can't like it if I'm not subscribed. No, I'll subscribe. Don't care. Don't cost nothing. Huh. Interesting. All right. What do we got here? So, wreck a beaver dam. Yes, I'm unecological. KMO, I forgot to give you your New Year's wishes. I wholeheartedly wish you, KMO, health. Thank you. That's always a good thing to wish for. Likely they'll be back. There's a beaver deceiver that people have installed so their dams don't flood, and they won't just come back and rebuild. They tend to keep coming back to optimal areas. Yes, beavers are amazing creatures. Hardworking, thrifty, intelligent, and loyal, better than most men, and that's why I know Mr. Beaver knows that what doesn't make him a hat makes him stronger. Crafty beaver. Catch you later, KMO. I'll leave the computer on. Maybe when I come back in through the door, I'll hear KMO's voice. What article was that, and by who? So that was by somebody who, when he appears on my show, goes by the name Chad Hill, but now that he's started his Substack, he's changed his name to Chad... Oh, I just read it. What's he calling himself now? Oh, where is it? There we are. Oh, go away, Substack. Chad C. Mulligan is what he calls himself now. All right. New messages. All right. So, Ben Rubber, are you familiar with Mark Blythe? Mark Blythe was mentioned in that article. If you're not, I would say seek out some of his material. Just Google Austerity, dangerous idea. That'll bring him up. All right, so we're moving this. And there we go. Oh, what am I doing? Let's go new. Let's go with dimensions. Let's see, not pixels. Oh, this doesn't let me do dimensions. Oh, well. So 1500 by 1080, sure, why not? So we'll call this the old gray. Not the old gray mare, just the old gray. Where's my glove? Let's see. Get the tab mate going. Get the stylus. The grays are not orange, they're gray. All right, so the old gray typically carries a cooler. So let's find a picture of a cooler. So here. Let's go. That's from yesterday's call. I was looking at where Paul lives in Texas, up in this area. All right, I'll go cooler, right? Yes, those are all pictures of coolers. So let's say man with cooler. Huh. So I guess these types of fans are called coolers? Interesting. Kool-Aid. All right. Let's say not just party. So this is the internet for you. If I search for something, it must mean that I'm looking to buy a product. So I just need to see products. I need to see catalog images. I don't need to see images from life. I just need to see things that I can buy. Thank you. Thank you, internet. All right. So, igloo. Nope. All right, I just need the archetypal cooler, please. All right. How about that one? that. So Bitcoin is over 40,000. Is that not insane? 40,000. Okay. Let's see. Let's just. Okay, that's an enormous cooler. Let's make it smaller. A little contrappost. That is just too fat. Too fat of a pen nib. Oh yeah, 80. Let's try 30. All right, we're going to do a little contrapposto here. We're going to do the old gray. And the old gray. Is he one of the tall grays or one of the short grays? I think he's between the two. I think he's intermediate. You might say, what are you talking about, KMO? Well, the grays come in two varieties. Tall and short. All right, you might notice that I'm starting in Clip Studio Paint rather than Fresco. Oh, sorry, I don't have the chat up, so I can't see what people are posting. What article? Let's see. I need. Okay, read JHK's blog this morning, or read. He's on the Antifa helped wagon. Uh-oh. All right. Before we get totally into drawing, let's go check out Clusterfuck Nation. Fog and noise. Is there a game on? Consider. What you're seeing may not be what you think you're seeing. If an orderly transition to the next administration meant what you think it means, Nancy Pelosi would be shrieking for an insta-super-quickie impeachment. By the way, what would that look like as a procedural matter? Think Chinese fire drill. The New York Times, panties are on fire, declaring a national emergency. Headline this morning, Democrats demand Trump's removal. Funny? They didn't feel this exercised when Antifa attacked congressmen and senators on the streets of Washington last summer, leaving the president's acceptance speech at the White House. Twitter and Facebook are busy throwing overboard anybody who dares to challenge the narrative they've helped to craft. Something's up, and it's now making them even more hysterical than usual. Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Thursday called for Vice President Mike Pence to immediately initiate the removal of President Donald Trump, declaring him a seditious threat to the country who can't be trusted to finish even the last 2 weeks of his term. Consider also that you and I are in that fabled fog of war, and that fog is going to hang around in the days ahead. You may see strange shapes moving around in that fog, and that's about it. Eventually the fog will lift, and the battlefield will not look the same as it did a week ago. So it's hard to see right now, but I hear a lot, and I'll just report what I hear for what it's worth. I can't prove any of this is true right now. A lot of it may seem crazy, fantastical. What with the pitch of our news media mindfuckery we've been living under, there have probably never been stranger days in our America. The game is a deadly one because there is so much at stake. Careers, reputations, fortunes, lives, the climax of 4 years of seditious gotcha. The resistance threw everything it could at the golden golem of greatness. It discommoded him in his duties and wasted the nation's precious time in a gathering crisis of civilization. But nothing stuck to him. Russiagate, impeachment, not even COVID-19. The November 3rd election was his final play. Ever find in a game of chess that you've unwittingly blundered into checkmate? Actually, yes. Who exactly invaded the Capitol building on Wednesday when that mass of Trump supporters swarmed up the hallowed hill? Some Antifas and BLMs were on the scene for sure, probably in the vanguard, probably the ones smashing the windows to break in. But somebody else went in there too and rounded up a whole bunch of congressional laptops, including several in Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office, foolishly left behind when members were evacuated in a panic. So, from Andy No. One of the men who was part of the siege of the Capitol building is John Earl Sullivan, an extreme BLM activist from Utah. He was arrested and charged in July 2020 over a BLM Antifa riot where drivers in Provo were threatened and one was shot. Okay, so this guy is this guy. It's plausible. I mean, this is a blurry picture, but yeah, plausible. Perhaps you've heard of the Italian job. A story circulating on the web from one Maria Zack, founder of a fair election monitoring organization called Nations in Action, says that the election ballot fraud operation was run out of Italy through a set of that country's communication satellites by a CIA team working with former Italian government officials and one of Italy's defense contractors. The story claims that former President Barack Obama was directly involved and that the operation was financed with dollars skimmed from the billions of dollars transferred to Iran under the terms of Mr. Obama's no nukes deal. Affidavits and depositions are filed. The UK's MI6 may be involved, as they were in the Russiagate shenanigans. Is this just another mindfuck? Maybe. I guess we'll have to stand by and find out. You can do that, can't you? In the fog of the moment? Did Congress knowingly certify a fraudulent election? That will be a tantalizing question in the days ahead. Another rumor in the fog says that the National Intelligence Ratcliffe delivered a report on foreign interference in the election to members of Congress following the conclusion early Thursday morning of their Electoral College business. Was that the match that set the resistance panties on fire? Mr. Ratcliffe has been missing in action for more than a week. His report was originally scheduled for delivery to the president November 18th. It was postponed and everybody forgot about it, especially in the news media. Let's just step back for a moment and ask, why did so many flag-waving MAGAs turn out Wednesday on the Mall in Washington, D.C.? Answer, because they have been served one shit sandwich after another for 4 years by the Democratic Party and their captive news media. And the latest one featured vote tabulations getting erased in real time at 10,000+ vote increments right before their eyes on a flat screen in the wee hours of November 4th. And after that, the balloting monkey shines, the response from the government was a mere yawn, total institutional failure. The ballot fraud that so many witnessed was never aired or adjudicated in a proper legal forum. And they were good and damned pissed about it. Mr. Trump is rumored to be at an Air Force base in Texas, having vamoosed the White House as being unsafe for him. Is he concerned by his antagonists, or does he have a planned operation underway? Who knows? Not me. He certainly had enough time to plan it, and the king post in the whole deal may have been that he had to exhaust all the ritual avenues in disputing the election fraud before he could launch a counter coup. If his adversaries intend to run the 25th Amendment on him, he will have to act quickly. The president didn't appear panicked in the speech released on Thursday, in which he promised that orderly transition to the next administration, certainly not panicked in the inflamed manner of Nancy Pelosi. In the mythology of my people, the golem was a giant fashioned out of clay by a rabbi seeking desperately to protect his village from a pogrom. I didn't dub Mr. Trump the golden golem of greatness for nothing. For the moment, all is fog and noise. All right. It's going to be an interesting 2 weeks, let me tell you. Going to be an interesting 2 weeks. I don't have a whole lot to say in response to that blog post, so let's put this back over on the other screen and get back to drawing. Unless somebody has a question. All right. Oh, those are on the same level. They're not supposed to be. Ben Rubber, do you watch The Expanse? I just watched the latest episode last night, and there was one moment in it that was absolutely brilliant. But if you don't watch it, I won't describe it. I don't know that show. Okay. I won't talk about it then. So because the grays are naked, I indicate some, and because they're very thin, I indicate their musculature, but I don't want to make them look buff. Don't want them to be studly. So that's always the sort of tightrope to walk when drawing the grays. All right, we'll just zoom in and do those more carefully. All right, we're going to trace this cooler. What's happening? I see what's happening. Okay. Brian, checking in from Japan. Just read JHK's blog. All I can say, these are indeed foggy times. Wishing you all well. Yes. Very, very foggy indeed. Good to hear from you, Brian. And Ben Rubber says, looks like it would be exciting to throw Michael Dowd, ecotheist, to read Chad Mulligan articles and have a convo. Do you know of Michael Dowd? I've encountered Michael Dowd just on Twitter in the last couple days, I think. Let me go back to Twitter and look at my notifications here. Here, let me throw this over on the other screen for you. Where's my cursor? There we go. Didn't someone once tip you a few coins for the podcast when it was at $10 or so? The wound that never heals. Yes. Someone sent me 5 Bitcoins back when it was less than $1. I never bothered to open a permanent wallet. And those coins, what did they do? They evaporated into the digital ether. Not either, ether. Right now, that's $200,000 that I banished, went in and banished by neglect. Oh, the enduring agony. Yes, tune into my live stream and watch me tweet. So Michael Garfield, Benjamin Lee. Yeah, this is Michael Dowd, right? So Michael Garfield is replying to you and to Michael Dowd. So yeah, I've seen this bio in the last day, and I just started following him the last day. I'm a post-doom shaman in the End of the World as We Know It tribe. I help people understand what's real, fall in love with life, and have relative equanimity in the midst of collapse. And here's his website, postdoom.com. Slow to load. All right. Oh, wow. Full video for a background. That's flashy. All right. Doom. Definition. A common feeling of ugh or dread upon realizing that technological progress and economic growth and development are the root of our predicament, not our way out. A name for the anxiety and fear called forth when living in a coronavirus era that triggers an economic depression. 3. The midpoint between denial and regeneration, with or without us. Post-doom. Definition. What opens up when we remember who we are, accept the inevitable, honor our grief, and prioritize what is pro-future and soul-nourishing. A fierce and fearless reverence for life and relative equanimity, even in the midst of abrupt climate change. A global pandemic and collapse of both the health and biosphere and business as usual. Living meaningfully, compassionately, and courageously, no matter what. You know, I've had it in mind for a few years now to write a follow-up to Conversations on Collapse. And the title of the follow-up book would be Getting Over Collapse. And of course that has a double meaning. You know, get over it in as much, you know, in the psychological sense, but also getting over collapse as in, well, what if it actually happens? How do you move past it? How do you thrive in it? A post-doom mindset is a hard-earned and often fluctuating state of being. Classic stages of grief mark a well-worn path. However, mere acceptance of what is unavoidable need not be the end point. Michael Dowd, with occasional co-hosts, invites guests to share their personal journeys along this trajectory, and especially the gifts they have found on the other side. Participants share personal stories, perspectives, and tools that go beyond emotional detachment, stoic resolve, and spiritual transcendence. For example, what shifts in perception, understanding, relating, and identity become possible when we walk through a post-doom doorway? How do priorities, life ways, and outer world involvements shift and clarify on the other side? And how can such changes call forth genuine equanimity, even joy? So, who's he talked to? Joanna Macy, I recognize. Huh. Well, of his upfront, marquee guests, I only recognize Joanna Macy. All right. What is the link for the... Well, you know what, Brian? It's been several months since we've put anything new up there. I have been creating new material, but it's been to bulk up the existing web content to include in print comics. Here, let me show you something. Let's see. Come on. I'll break it down here close to the corner. The cursor pops over to the other screen. Let's see. Documents. Geb. Promotional? No. Oh, file management. Oh, it is the bane of my existence. All right, so what I'll do is I will just go back to the original email. Oh, wait, here's the easiest way to do it. It'll just be to go to my Instagram. And boom, look at that. There will soon be print comics. I mean, they already exist in real life, but soon they will be made available to people who want them. I have not actually, laid eyes or hands on the physical copies yet, but they exist. There are real Geb comic books in the world. So I will let interested parties know how to get them when I know, Alrighty. Wait, here we are. Stephen Jenkinson is familiar to me. Hi, by the way. Hey, Lauren. Good to see you. So, I have very low viewership on these live streams, but I think I have very high participation rates because from what I can see, there's only 4 people viewing, and there's been 4 people in the chat. Congrats on being published. Well, thank you. Alrighty, I was about to say something to discount the way in which I was published, but no, there's no reason for that. I'll just say thank you. I will take your congratulations and return thanks. And now, let's get back to work. Let's get back to the difficult business of tracing this cooler. Oh, wait, what's happened to the chat window? Oh, I'm looking right at it. Okay, it's all good. I really need to close some windows, but this is stuff that I want to look at later. I'll close that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. Uh-huh. There we are. Blah, blah, blah. Just waiting for a page to reload. Okay, good. Good, good, good. So close that window. All right. He has a wealth of videos on YouTube. Who's this? Michael Dowd? Okay, so anyway, the link for the comic is... And there's also a beta site. All right. Now, how long does it take to trace a cooler? A very long time when you are scatterbrained and your attention is easily diverted. Now, a cooler is basically a box with a handle. Why trace it, you ask? And I can only really answer by saying I'm just not interested in spending my limited powers of concentration on drawing a cooler. Thanks, and I support Getting Over Collapse as a follow-up. Yeah, I've got the snappy title now. All I have to do is write the damn thing. All right. Alrighty, and sorry, Coleman, I'm going to leave off your logo. Well, maybe not. I mean, if I zoom in that much, I can't even read it, really. So yeah, I'm going to leave off the logo. So there's our cooler, and there's our gray. Let's, I guess... Look at his legs maybe looking a little thick. I'll slim them down in the inking. Alright, so here's his cigarette. Curling just the pinky finger. Nice little smoking gesture. All right. There we go. Stephen Jenkinson is great. All right. Well, sounds like somebody I need to get caught up on then, because I just don't have any associations with the name. He's not the Death Doula guy, is he? The one with the band? Uh-oh, what have I done? Oh, okay. Great. This fussy erasing of stuff that falls outside the lines is just like clearing my throat. It's something I can do. It doesn't require that I know what I'm doing. It's just sort of a killing time while I bring the image into focus for myself. All right, there we go. Cooler. Oh, I didn't draw the handle on the cooler. All right. Well, Death Doula might be a good way to describe him. Like Death Doula for the whole civilization. Does he have a band? The person I'm thinking of has a band. They tour. Let's see. Brian says, I'm going back to bed. Nice checking in and good luck drawing the grays. Maybe just imagine Elon Musk 30 years down the road. He is a philosopher and a sort of back to nature kind of guy. All right. Maybe I should look at his picture. Stephen Jenkinson. Ugh. Scared my cat with a big sneeze. Stephen Jenkinson is known in some circles as the Angel of Death. He's worked for many years with palliative care and has guided hundreds of people through their dying times. Some call him a spiritual activist and some simply a poet. He runs a school called Orphan Wisdom School in his native Canada. Stephen Jenkinson on the coronavirus. Well, about Stephen Jenkinson, links get notified. Yeah. All right, I'll leave that page open for future exploration. Gesundheit. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see. Talks a lot about getting in touch with the shadow rather than trying to get rid of it or avoid it. Well, so much easier to just try to deny it. That's not me. That shadow is somebody else. I don't have a dark side. I'm good. All right. Nope, not that. So, death acceptance. Is there any praise to be found for raging against the dying of the light? Let's see. Oh, that's way too big. There we go. It's all too fat. All right. Anybody else got anything? So I asked Benjamin if he watches The Expanse, and he said he is not familiar with the show. Anybody else seen the most recent episode of The Expanse? We had an excellent character moment for what is that character's name? What is his name? Amos. Acacia Strain is a band that likes to talk about death a lot. Life is the slowest way to die, they say. Yeah. On Netflix? No. The Expanse is on Prime Video. It was on the Sci-Fi Channel, and then it got canceled. And as soon as it got canceled, Amazon bought it. And I'm glad they did. Saved it from oblivion. All right. Heavy lines. Oh, I should have left it. Well, too late. Let's see. So I'm just Googling The Expanse is a great show. The Expanse, 10 reasons it's the best sci-fi on TV right now. Here, let's pop this over. It's from Screen Rant. The Expanse is one of Amazon's many TV shows available for streaming, but The Expanse is easily one of the best sci-fi shows on TV right now. So this is the character I was talking about, Amos. The Expanse is a science fiction television show based on the novels of James S.A. Corey, who's actually two people. That's a pen name for two people, as I understand it. It ran on Sci-Fi for 3 seasons starting in 2015, but was canceled. Luckily, it was picked up by Amazon, and the 4th season came out on Prime in December. Okay, so this is old, because the 5th season is ongoing. It features our solar system hundreds of years in the future. Humanity has colonized Mars, several moons, and the asteroid belt, eventually developing different governments and cultures for each. The show follows characters from each of the 3 big powers as they navigate intra-system politics on levels both grand and small. Here's what you need to start watching it immediately. It has flawed protagonists. Over its 4 seasons, The Expanse follows 7 main protagonists. Each of them has an important role in the plot, but each of them has their personal demons to battle as well. James Holden, Stephen Strait, is the main protagonist. He's inadvertently thrust into a leadership position both in the solar system and of a 3-person crew of his ship, the Rocinante. He struggles with the belief that he's not good enough. One of his crewmen, Amos, is borderline sociopathic, but somehow is also one of the most loyal, positive, and kind characters. Yes, he's a lovable psychopath. Bobby, Frankie Adams, is a Martian Marine who struggles with her anger. Naomi, Dominique Tipper, is a belter whose political opinions are always evolving. Christian Avasarala is the leader of Earth who struggles with her love of power. Alex is the Martian pilot of the Rocinante whose guilt over leaving his family to travel to the stars can be overwhelming. We could go on, but the point is that each of the protagonists has their flaws that make them interesting, nuanced characters. 9. It has a diverse cast and crew. Yay, diversity. I'm going to skip on past that. 8. Its storylines are both personal and universal. The Expanse has a different storyline for each season that ties beautifully into the show as a whole. Some of these are grand, sweeping political issues, while others are simple, like a missing person case, or personal, like a man searching for his daughter, but they're always tied back to the main storyline somehow. Take, for example, Naomi's first trip to the planet in Season 4. She's a belter who has lived her entire life in space. She has to physically prepare for planet landing through exercise and medical intervention. There's a personal storyline that ties into the larger narrative of both belter physiology and Season 4's new planet. Christian Avasarala exists. Christian Avasarala is one heck of a character. She's tough. She's a tough, F-word-loving politician on Earth, and she has the voice of a goddess. She has a very deep, like smoker's voice. Very scratchy, gravelly voice. She talks like this. Christian works with Holden and her crew to protect Earth from the proto-molecule as best she can. However, sometimes that means going against the rules. Christian's outfits are the unofficial star of the show. She wears ornate, detailed saris and other South Asian-inspired suits and dresses. She pairs them with lavish jewelry and perfectly matched lipstick. Christian is stunning in every scene. So again, there she is. Yes, her wardrobe is definitely a star to the show. So here's what initially attracted me to the show. It's hard sci-fi. Science fiction falls into 2 general categories, hard and soft. Soft sci-fi, or skiffy, leans more toward fantasy and is more interested in digging into the soft sciences like anthropology and psychology. Hard sci-fi bases itself in the hard sciences like biology, physics, and chemistry. The Expanse works hard to depict the science of our universe. Ships move at scientifically plausible speeds and in realistic directions. The characters receive an infusion of medicine during takeoff that keeps them conscious despite extreme G-forces. There's a communication delay based on the distance between the parties, so the characters use video messages to talk. There are many more examples of the ways The Expanse respects the laws of the known solar system than just these. It accurately depicts gravity, mostly. The Expanse also accurately depicts gravity, for the most part. They try their best, at least. There are no artificial gravity machines on board ships unless they're spinning to create their own gravity. The crews are weightless unless they're using gravity boots, which use magnets to adhere to the floors of the ship. The ships, and importantly asteroids that spin to create gravity, are shown as having different levels of gravity depending on one's relative location to the core. This has affected Belter's physiology, which is also depicted in the show. It's a political analogy. The three main powers in the show are Earth, run by the United Nations, Mars, which has a military-based culture, and the asteroid belt, run by a loose network of leaders called the Outer Planets Alliance, or OPA. Earth and Mars are at each other's necks, but consider the OPA to be a terrorist organization. It would be overly simplistic to assign specific countries to each player. However, the two centralized powers' reaction to the belt can be likened to many stories of stateside oppression in history. The Earth and Mars mine the belt for important minerals, using the Belters as labor. Meanwhile, the Belters get no political representation and suffer many health consequences living in low gravity. Sound familiar? Attention to detail. Not only does The Expanse closely adhere to the principles of hard science, but it also does extra work depicting other details. Its interest in anthropology becomes clear when one looks at the Belters. They have their own culture developed over years of living in the belt. One of the most unique details the show presents about the Belters is their language. They speak a Belter Creole that has elements of all the different languages that were spoken by the first inhabitants of the belt. While the actors' interpretations of this accent vary, the fact that there is a noticeable difference at all is astounding in a TV show. The aliens are non-humanoid. If you're tired of seeing space aliens or alien species differentiated from humans by nothing more than a wrinkle on the bridge of their noses, then this is the show for you. The alien presence in The Expanse takes the form of the proto-molecule, a substance that defies the laws of physics but is not exactly alive. As of Season 4, there is no humanoid life to be found. There are some poisonous slugs, some toxic microorganisms, and a hint of larger fauna. It's refreshing to see life evolving at a commensurate rate to the science we know at present. And the top reason why it's the best show on TV is it just keeps getting better. Season 4 was released in its entirety on December 13th last year. That would be 2019, I think. It was the first season distributed by Amazon Studios, and it was just as good, perhaps better, than the 3 seasons that came before. I disagree, but we'll go on. With each new season, The Expanse has added beloved new characters and exciting storylines, and at the end of each season, there's a heart-wrenching cliffhanger that indicates where the next season will start and leaves the audience hungering for more. Yeah. Alrighty. So what is the premise of The Expanse? Well, that's it. It starts off just detailing the hardship of people living not only in the asteroid belt, but it's pretty shitty living on Earth. Most people are on what's called basic, which is not basic income. It's just basic services. Like you get, the bare minimum of clothing and food and medical attention. And, a lot of people are living on the streets. But if you're on basic, you can't touch money, you can't get any education, you have no prospects for advancement, you're just spending your life kind of in stasis, not literally in stasis, but there's no possibility of advancement. And one of the few paths out of basic, that people can use to start, a path to a more meaningful life is the military. But the belt, the people living in the belt, they're just screwed. Their bodies are, they've been malnourished. They've lived in low gravities, so they have low muscle density, and they really can't go to any planets. They have to live in space. But they're very poor. And Earth, is the richest nation or the richest power. But as I say, most of the people living on it are in dire straits, kind of like the U.S. And Mars is sort of a military dictatorship. They're doing pretty well, but they're pretty hardcore. And then comes the proto-molecule, which is this alien substance which mutates people and creates weird phenomenon. And different people, there's no way anybody can control it, but of course, hubristic people think they can control things which are uncontrollable. So various people are trying to weaponize it. But really, it's a big canvas political drama set in space, but it's a more realistic space than we've ever seen before on TV. All right, back to drawing. I'm not getting very far on the gray in his cooler. This is not an hour and a half's work. And that's how long I've been on the what is this thing I'm doing? Live stream. Yes. Although I realize that for the people tuning in, it's more interesting to hear me read stuff and jabber than it is to watch me draw. So it goes. Let's take this dude's lower leg here. Right. Alexa, what time is it in Tokyo? Alexa, what time is it in Tokyo? Huh. Alexa might be on strike. Alexa, what time is it in Tokyo?
In Tokyo, it's 5:25 a.m.
Oh, wow. Wow, Brian was up really late. Huh. Interesting. A unique alien concept, not too unlike a virus, perhaps. I have to admit that many an episode of The Expanse came after too much marijuana for me to remember very clearly exactly what I just watched. And with shows that I'm really, really into, I'll watch the newest episode and then I'll immediately go and watch somebody else's analysis videos, reaction videos, stuff like that. And I've never done that for The Expanse. And it's a show that definitely deserves that sort of, post-viewing treatment. Now, another show that I've been binging on Netflix, which is absolute trash. I mean, it's such a guilty pleasure, is a show called Van Helsing. And if you remember, Van Helsing was the vampire hunter character from Bram Stoker's Dracula. And it is about the lineage, the Van Helsing, bloodline. And all of the badass vampire hunter warriors in the Van Helsing bloodline in the show are all women. And it's a pretty low budget show. Like, there are locations where in a normal show you'd see an exterior shot of it and then you'd cut to the interior, and they just go straight to the interior. Like, they just don't show you any exterior shots. There was an episode that I was watching last night where a bunch of characters are at a military base, and they're going to be, like, some of them are leaving and some of them are staying, and the ones who are leaving on a helicopter. And you never see the helicopter. Like, you see a hallway and you see a door, and the people are all talking right there at the door. And outside of the door, it's supposed to be the outdoors, but it's clearly an indoor set, and there's like smoke machine fog just drifting around, and you hear the sound effect of a waiting helicopter, with its engine running, but you never see the helicopter. It's a very cheap show. But as I say, it's total trash. I'm at the beginning of season 3 now, and I watch like 3, sometimes 4 episodes a night. And it's it requires nothing. It asks nothing of me. Anyway, gonna get some coffee. Oh, and Van Helsing is on Netflix. All right, let's get some tones going in here. Tones, tones. Tones go below the ink. And start with some dark gray for the cooler. Oh, and I deleted the cooler, didn't I? Do I still have it in my buffer? No. All right. Well, guess our light source is here. So this will be our darker tone. That's really dark. Well, I'll lighten it. Honk. Let's see. right, so no Paul today, no Parker, no Ed. Les was here briefly. All right, well, nobody has any questions for me. I'm going to put on some music. Not there, not there. There we are. And how about more music by Josh Pan? I've taken to opening with his some of his music every day. Let's see. So when I clicked on his name, I got his videos, but I don't want his videos. I just want tracks. So, oh well. How about '69 Bronco by DJ William Simmons. What's happening here? There we go. All right. 5-0 July. Interesting. Country. I'm going to pass. I'm going to pass. I've got a baby sister. Genre, children's. Nope. Let's go to track title. Your intro. Interesting. Let's see what your intro sounds like. All right, 4 seconds. Amazing. Your chariot awaits. So, Lauren asks, I was just wondering, do you ever sketch out your characters freehand? Well, I'm drawing freehand right now. I traced the outline of the cooler from a photo, but everything else I'm doing here is freehand. Do I draw on paper? Not much, no. I will sketch out, not even sketch, just really roughly indicate, place characters. Like I'll plan out a comic strip on notebook paper, but the drawing that I do there it doesn't even rise to the level of sketching. All right. Let's see. Even more than that. Up and down. And I've probably developed some bad habits just from working digitally all the time, like Control Z, which is now a programmed function in this little hand controller that I have in my left hand. Control Z is undo, so rather than take great care in drawing lines, I will draw them quickly, and if I don't like them, I just undo and draw them again real fast. And that's not something you can do on paper. Mm-hmm. Yeah, undo would be cool sometimes, particularly watercolors. Yes, yes, indeed. But I think maybe one difference between the sort of art that you do and the sort of art that I do is that I'm not really looking to accomplish any sort of artistic expression here. I'm just telling a story. Just depicting characters and events and locations, and it's not really, I'm not bringing my soul into the light here. I'm just drawing some characters. One reason I like oil so much is that you can undo pretty easily. Yeah, I haven't used oil paint since I was, I guess since I was in high school, when I took some art courses at the Kansas City Art Institute. And they had us working with oil paints and, turpentine and all that good stuff. That distinction is probably why illustration seems to be disparaged in some circles. Yeah, and I'm not really looking to establish standing in those circles, so I'm, if I were passionate about it, I might have a counter argument for that sort of thing, but yeah, I remember, I think Frank Frazetta was just visually just a genius. And yet, real artists don't consider him to be one of them because he works commercially. He was doing commercial art. But yeah, some of the art that's made the most impact on my life has been in the service of comics, and it has been it's been that lowly commercial illustration. All right. Nope, wrong tool. There we go. We're nearly there. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Ha! There we go. All right. Hey, it's Parker. Lauren says good example, but I don't know what what example I gave and what it illustrated. What's up, Parker? So let's go. actually. I watched your most recent vid. Glad to hear your intention to do some public podcasting. It sounds to me like you are headed in a good direction. Who can say, Parker? Who can say? What happened? Save. All right. Sure. All right, now how to put him on a transparent background. Let's see. Let's go to Photoshop. It shouldn't take more than a half hour to open. In the meantime, anybody got any other questions? Anything you'd like me to read? Open. Actually, no. It's create new. Cancel. Or actually, how about open? Documents. Let's search. Transparent. Come on. Open with Photoshop. Okay. So let's just delete Derek. What's going on? Select all, delete. There we are. All right. Now, Ooh, tiny. It's tiny. It's no good. Let's see. All right, well, we're going to leave him that size. So I'll just do it like that. And zoom in. Really bite into that line there. Ah, fucking Photoshop. Not Photoshop, it's me. Okay, what happened to the image? Shit. All right. Delete. Okay. Okay. I'm going to upload this to Dropbox. Is that it? Where's that Dropbox? All right, well, I can't find it right now. Maybe if I just log into Dropbox, I'll find it. Okay, forget it. I just can't find it right now. So I'll email it to myself. Okay. Put a star there. Let's just go to Fresco. So here's Koala Harris from yesterday. Let's look at Koala as a time lapse. Oh, I already have it. Nope. No need to replace it. All right. What's in the chat? Things to read. I feel I am missing something with that image, not getting it. Les is destroying a beaver dam. Okay. This is not going to do any good unless he traps the beavers. They will just rebuild. Draw the rest of the koala Harris. Koala Harris is done. Let's see. I'll show you how it turned out. There, that's how Koala Harris turned out. All right, well, if nobody's calling in, I'm going to kill the Zoom call. End meeting for all. And we do not need a recording, so stop converting. All right. Anyway, there's Koala. So you're not getting this image. I'm not getting why this color I'm trying to put down isn't working. There we go. Okay. Great. Okay, then I guess I will not join the call. Well, if you want to join the call, I can start it up again. That was a reference to that draw the rest of the owl meme. Huh. I totally missed that one. Who's this guy? I have no idea. I'm just scribbling here. I'm just running out the clock. It's like 4:20 Friday afternoon. I've got 42 minutes left in this stream, but at this point I could easily get distracted from drawing. If somebody wanted me to read something else and comment on it, I'd be happy to do that. Any recent blog posts from people we'd all be familiar with? John Michael Greer's stuff has gotten rather inaccessible for me just because I don't really understand his publication schedule now, or how things are supposed to work. I was a very devoted reader of the Arch Druid Report. I knew what day it came out, and I would, I'd be sitting there hitting refresh on his page looking for the new post on the day that I knew when it was due. But Ecosophia, I don't get it. I'm not insistent on not getting it. If somebody could give me a handy dandy guide to how it's supposed to work, I might be able to get into it. or if there's any good standalone blogs by him, I'd be happy to read one of those. Who is this guy? Who is this guy? I wonder who this guy is. He needs a weird looking background. How about some... Really? Some gold. No, not lettering. What am I doing? I think what I wanted was here. That's what I want. Oh, wow, look at that. Do I like it? I don't think so. Let's do this. Wild. Who is this guy? I do not follow any blogs currently. I look at the Atlantic, Ars Technica site, Wired, but mostly Reddit, and YouTube. Well, hey, is there somebody who's publishing regularly to Reddit whose stuff you really like? Or is there a good group that's, is a good one to follow? I could be up for some Reddit. How can I make this image smaller? There we are. Where are the halftones? There we go. Can't draw on a hidden layer. How about this one? There we are. What do we got here? Caspian Report is some serious geopolitical analysis stuff I watch on YouTube. Yeah, I mean, I don't know it. I'm not familiar with it. It's just I can't play YouTube videos here on the live stream, but I can read a blog post or a whatchamacallit, Reddit post and comment on it. But I'm definitely interested in geopolitical topics. All right, let's see. Come on. Down, down, down. Better. Maybe too small. Yeah, about like that, I guess. The guy is based out of Azerbaijan, I gathered from reading the comments, and he seems unbiased. The most recent video was on the possible alliance, pros and cons of China and Russia. Oh. So again, this is called Caspian Report. All right. So I will search for it. Go to YouTube and subscribe. But that's no guarantee that I'll ever see any notifications of new videos. So I will also just leave the tab open. All right. Not what I meant. La 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 la. That's not a very good time lapse. All right, forget it. So maybe I can do another one of this dude. Maybe get a bit closer to what he's really supposed to be. So let's just start a new one. Oh, pardon me. Okay, so he's a bald dude. Come on. Bald dude with a stubby nose up high, sort of weird pointed chin, heavy brows, ears. Maybe he was wearing a robe. He's looking up. Why is he looking up? Or maybe he's just leaning back. I don't click the bell for notifications or anything. I just click on subscribed and see if anything has been posted recently. Yeah. What device do you usually access YouTube on? You know, I'll click the bell. What the heck? Sure, all. Politics, economics, and history. 701,000 subscribers. So he's doing pretty well. Dead on Arrival, Unpacking the China-Russian Alliance. Only 14 minutes long. Huh, okay. Very digestible. Well, I might check in on that. Let's see. There we go. Come on. There we go. That's good. Yeah, maybe he's not completely bald. All right. Ooh, that's interesting. All right, now let's erase. Should have put that on a different layer. Oh well. All right. How about some brown? How do you get brown? It's like dark orange. Ooh, not like that. Oh, somebody's shouting at me from outdoors. Oh. It's Olga. So, I'm on a live stream, so anything you say is going out on YouTube.
Oh, sorry to touch you. Like you're live streaming, your re-streaming thing?
Yeah.
Alright, I got chocolate chip and I've got a molasses ginger. Would you like one each?
Sure.
They're from Moon Dog I got yesterday. And I got them for the crew, the road crew.
Who are the road crew?
The road crew, like, you know. Like,
oh, the Department of Public Works, yes.
And I can never catch them. And I can't, like, I tried pushing cookies on them. Like, during my birthday, I ran around because there was nothing else going on.
Uh-huh.
Because it was a COVID birthday. You had a COVID birthday. Everybody gets a COVID birthday.
Everybody gets a COVID birthday, yes.
So I was running around trying to, like, give treats away to people. To, like, at that time, there was an outside construction crew doing, and they were all, like, from New Hampshire, and they didn't have any beer. Of standing and talking to me. Hi.
Because they're Republicans.
Oh gosh, yeah, we got into some discussions because it was my birthday. I was very.
Mocha, who is this person? What is she doing here?
Oh hi! Oh, you're gonna smell so many different cats on me. Hi, sweet girl. I got Junior totally, I think, addicted to my sweet nothings. My sweet whispers. Because I'll be across the room and I start talking at him and I could just see his tail twitch and he starts turning over on his back and showing his belly. Hi, sweet girl. Hi, he's a good moker. Oh,
Another human
you're
being.
so tiny. I used to think you were a big cat. What happened?
She used to be a bit bigger than she is now.
Well,
She's
I
getting
also got a
old.
cat that's like 10 times her size.
Yeah.
Now everybody. I mean, his head is so giant. I used to think you were big. Remember, I used to call you substantial. I used to call you. Oh,
Wrong one.
you're a tiny. Nose tiny
Okay.
though.
Again, you're on YouTube.
I thought I was on already.
You're on right now. We're both on right now.
But you weren't before.
I live stream from 2 to 5.
I mean, ever since I walked in the door, I was on, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I figured. Sorry. I'm not cursing,
Okay.
and I refuse to bring up any current events.
Current events. What's to talk about?
Hi! The current event is cookies.
Yes.
Baked by Moondog.
Oh,
I had lunch yesterday out. I had lunch out with a friend yesterday.
Oh my
It was
goodness.
the most exciting thing ever. I got a Crispy Cristo. Do you know what a Crispy Cristo is?
I do not.
I'm going to tell you what it is, and then you're going to like be dreaming about it.
All right.
It is French toast with Vermont cheese and Vermont ham and Vermont maple syrup, all like cooked in egg like a French toast is.
Come on. Would you describe that one more time?
Yeah. It is
What's happening?
French toast with Vermont cheddar and Vermont ham
Mm-hmm.
and Vermont maple syrup, and it's all cooked together like an egg batter, like a French toast would be. So it's like which I guess what French toast is like. It's kind of almost like a French toast melted cheese sandwich. Being that I'm not so familiar with like iconic American diner food, breakfast food,
Mm-hmm.
I think like when you say French toast like this, that's what it is. So it's like 2 pieces of French toast with cheese and ham cooked in egg batter with maple syrup. So good. And a big salad. Like I haven't eaten since then, essentially.
It was yesterday?
That was yesterday. But I had a little bit of my homemade sauerkraut. Oh, look at you! You don't have a French co-op.
I have coffee here that's 1/4 caffeinated.
Oh, I just had some coffee, but sure. I mean, I don't know. No, it's alright. Yeah, no, it's all for you. Ooh, look at all those. Look at those for me.
The grounds? Sure. I just throw them outside.
On the grounds? The grounds on the grounds?
Mm-hmm.
You have a plate, or just put it here? I'll put it on top of here. Probably. How quickly you will eat them.
Oh my goodness.
They're good.
Huge.
Well, they're also thin. Yeah, it is huge. It's okay.
I need to keep my pipe handle so you can get the grounds up separate.
Oh.
It'll be easier to carry.
Or I could put it in a bag. Oh, I like that. Look, it's even bigger. Other cookie. So who's on the live stream with you?
Well, Parker, who's somebody I met in person when I was living at the Elk River house.
Alright. Oh.
Lauren from Connecticut, who now lives in Washington State. She was on the live stream for a while. Anybody else that I think you know?
Come here, Moker. Moker! You're kind of like a skinny thing. You were fat before. You're probably like in good shape, or is this sort of like old age?
This is old age withering away.
Oh, you're such a good girl. Oh, you're such a good girl. You're so tiny. Oh my God, they used to be that I thought you were. You're so weird. And I called you substantial. Since you were bigger, you were so much bigger than my Fuskin, who was definitely emaciated in old age. Yeah.
Someone named Moondog in Vermont makes sense. Moondog is a cafe here in Bellows Falls.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Parker says, Olga, now that is a voice I have not heard since the Z Realm.
That's right. fuzzy realm. Don't. Come here. Oh, you're a good girl. Love attack, love attack, love attack. Don't love attack.
All right.
Oh, sweet girl. Who's this strange person that comes over here and is so familiar with you? Who's this strange person that's just so familiar?
Mocha's usually happy to see some new human.
Yeah.
I ignore her needs. She has needs, and I don't fulfill them all.
Oh, purr. Oh, who's a purr? Oh, who's a purr?
Alrighty.
You know, you can just imagine how much attention Junior gets. Plus, I'm just like head over heels over that cat. Not that I loved all of my cats, but he's pretty
going
special
on?
because he doesn't give me any trouble. Anything.
Unlike your previous cat.
I mean, there is that biting thing, but I think that I realize he really wants to, he wants me to be his, his playmate. So I figure out ways to get him to get his biting.
What's going on?
Without getting my hand, but that's his way of showing love. Although he bites so hard.
I know he does.
Breaking skin.
Let's get out of this.
Good dog.
Even when Mocha is like pissed at me and she's like really going in for the bite, she stops at the skin. She'll put her teeth on my skin.
Definitely. It's because I think he grew up with Lucky fighting. And I think that, they say that when the kitten is taken away from his mother too soon, they never learn to not keep their claws out constantly. There's a thing that happens where they don't.
This is a ginger cookie, right?
It's a ginger molasses cookie. That's good.
Yum.
That the mother teaches her kittens by basically slapping them when they do it to be nicer, to not be so rough. I think what they learn is, I could be rough with my fellow kittens, but I can't be rough with mom, which means I can't be rough with adults and other kinds of creatures than my fellow kittens. But he probably never learned that. And then he continued to be that way with Lucky. Probably nobody in the household that he was in took the time to do any of that kind of formative stuff when he was around dogs and other cats. And now he's settling into life as being, an old lady cat. I try to stimulate him. That came out wrong, but I try to.
I knew what you meant.
I try to play with him and get, make him run around and expend his energy, and I wrestle with him like you would, trying to be very careful. Did you just fart, Mocha?
I cleaned her litter box earlier, and all of the contents of many cleanings where they're in the kitchen trash here.
Could be that, but there was a definite kind of fart bomb here. Oh, look at this cat. You're so black. You're so black. You're not orange.
No, she's not orange.
So I give him, he likes to, of course, run. He likes to run away, and then crouch and be ready for the pounce, and then I run up and I pounce on him, and then I run away, and then he runs towards me, and then I jump out and I scare him, and he runs away,
I know the kitty game.
So, he definitely do that.
All right.
Oh, that's so nice. Isn't that nice? Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, I've gotten Junior used to brushing. He used to think they were very weird. Now he's really into them.
Oh, Mocha loves that brush.
Yeah.
That brush, I think, feels like the Mama Kitty's tongue.
Yeah. Oh my god, so much hair.
It's been a couple weeks since I brushed her.
Been a couple of weeks, not quite yet, a couple of weeks. Ooh.
Let's see. It's getting dark.
Yeah, I'm gonna go because I want to go before it gets dark.
Hey, did you buy me this?
I think so.
It doesn't work as a humidifier anymore, but it's a nice little.
Does it?
No.
Did you try cleaning it out and stuff? Maybe just clogged.
What's that?
Could just be clogged. Yeah, I'd also like research that particularly because there's like plenty of people offering their experience and like I'm Amazon comments, reviews or whatever, and they'll say, hey, this is their clog and this is what I do to unclog it. Oh, but it could just be a simple thing. Yeah, I think what happened was you had bought it when we were living together. And then when you moved out, I was like, hey, take this, and I got myself another one.
Huh. You think I bought it? Because I didn't find it in my Amazon purchases. I went back through, I tried to find out, what that was so I could order another one just like it. And I don't think it's available anymore.
Maybe I bought it. I mean, teardrop-shaped, light-changing humidifier.
There are so many hundreds of very similar products.
Right. Well, I mean, why do you want to get one that broke? But
oh, I don't necessarily want to get one exactly like it.
You probably weren't cleaning it as assiduously as one can.
The only thing I know to do other than wipe out the accumulated bacteria is run white vinegar through it, which I've been doing periodically. But whatever it is that vaporizes the water just doesn't do that anymore.
It sounds like a clog, but then again, it could be electricity.
Alrighty.
Well, I'll look through my. Good job. Oh. Oh God. Wow. I still have Lavella to go.
You have what?
Fraternize with Hilda's cat.
Oh.
And
I have this smart humidifier that I should be listing for sale. Well, how much do you want for it? I'm in the market, Parker.
hey, what if I take one of these bags instead of that cup?
Oh, sure.
It doesn't have a cap. I mean, it's probably foolish because it's still snow. So I could throw this in with.
Putting a pot of water on the gas stove can work as a humidifier. Well, I have an electric stove. It should work as the same.
Get yourself a spray bottle of water and spritz your plants. That'll humidify it a little bit, and it'll give your plants that much needed humidity that they probably want. That's pretty easy. Spritz.
Yep.
Doesn't quite. It's not like a humidifier, but something. And then keep this wet. Ooh,
Those are coffee
you
grounds.
is there?
Yes. There's a layer of coffee grounds.
Yeah,
on top
I mean,
of
you
the
got
soil.
it is acidic. Like
Yeah, but most of the acidic stuff has
Yeah,
reached
yeah.
out already.
But when you're putting it in like a lot,
Mhm.
yeah, it's true. Doing well. I mean, it's probably a good way to maybe even prevent like gnats and things from.
That hasn't been a problem.
Right, but that's how they'll lay their eggs. They'll come out of the soil in the top, and what's been recommended is like sand or some kind of rocks or some kind of surface on the top to prevent them from getting in the soil. So that this works.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you just keep these guys a little bit more moist, that'll give you some humidity. It'll also like help these plants because they're not happy with the dryness at all. All of these, except maybe, well, even the aloe. All of these are like subcanopy, tropical humidity zone plants. They don't like them.
Pure Guardian 120-hour Smart Mist Ultrasonic Humidifier. All right.
Smart mist. So there's more parts to break?
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like it. Let's go to Amazon. All right. Well, I'm not seeing that exact model on Amazon. You go to Amazon, you type in humidifier, there's just a bazillion of them. But if I promised to give somebody a 5-star review, they'd send me one for free, but I don't do that. I don't do guaranteed 5-star reviews. And that's why the manufacturers of cheap Chinese plastic crap have stopped sending it to me.
All right, I'm gonna go.
Well, you're leaving 3 minutes before the end of my stream.
Oh, you want me to say?
Sure.
How about some water?
Looks like they're going for $50 to $60.
Did you say something to me?
No, I'm responding to Parker, who's got a humidifier for sale. Parker, do you have a product page that you could send me so I could read about the device?
Wow. I know.
On eBay. Well, Parker, you might have link posting privileges. If you can find that link on eBay, you could, or if it's your link, just post it here in the chat. Alrighty.
So I guess you heard me. I was like, he's never going to hear me. And they're like, well, he's got shitty windows. You
Yeah.
actually heard me, right?
I did hear you. Yeah.
So I was like, am I going to be standing out here and yelling his name? And I guess so. Because I was going to go around to the other side. And that's probably locked too. There's no buzzer anywhere.
No,
Yeah.
no. That's why I can't get deliveries here.
You can't?
Nope.
You used to when they were open downstairs, right?
Yeah. Before the pandemic, I
So
could.
how do you do that now?
I
Bonnie's?
I have my orders sent to.
Back to you.
No, Beth and Lisa. You know them? They have a place here.
Beth is a Beth is a client. Was.
Oh. So yeah, I have stuff sent to their place over on Griswold Drive, and then Lisa brings it over when she comes here.
So you get some heavy stuff sometimes.
Not recently, but yeah, used to. All right, I think it's just Parker left in the chat, and other folks who are watching but not talking. It is 5 p.m. I'm done. Happy weekend, everybody. I'll be back on Monday.